If you've ever wondered how much you are actually making for all of your pet sitting and dog walking visits, after all of the wear and tear on your car and the gas and the marketing expenses and everything else that goes into your business on the back end, this is going to be the video for you. In today's video, I'm going to first cover some basic bookkeeping terms that you need to know, and then I'll show you how you can do your own bookkeeping manually with a free Google spreadsheet. And then I'll talk a little bit about how to level up from there with using things like QuickBooks and even outsourcing your bookkeeping to a true professional. If you don't know exactly where every dollar is coming from and where every one of those dollars are flowing to, you have no way of making decisions for your business that are based on knowledge and data. You need this financial information to truly understand which one of your marketing methods are actually performing the best, where you may be spending too much money. You don't even know if you're truly profitable or not without having a clear picture of the financial health of your business. And that's where bookkeeping comes in. I actually have a business management degree from the University of North Florida, and I took several accounting and financial classes while I was in college. And even with that knowledge, I still never thought of bookkeeping or just how important all of this stuff is when I first started my pet sitting and dog walking business 11 years ago. I was honestly just so excited to be getting my first clients, and I was so stressed and overwhelmed figuring out how to get those first clients that sitting down to build a spreadsheet and going through my bank statements was just not on my priority list. So I say that just so that you know that no matter where you are at your business, whether you're first starting out or whether you've been doing this for years, you are not alone. We all kind of have a wake-up call, at some point in our business where we realize just how important these numbers are and start getting more serious about it. I do just want to quickly mention here that I am not an accountant and I am not an attorney, so nothing that I say in this video or any of my other videos should be taken as financial or legal advice. So with that, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with my weekly videos here on the Doug the Dog Guy YouTube channel. And let's get into the exciting topic of bookkeeping. The first thing that I want to mention here is that bookkeeping is not the same as accounting. Bookkeeping is actually recording each and every transaction that happens within your business. So all of the payments coming in and all of the expenses going out, bookkeeping is just the recording process of all of those transactions. While accounting is the bigger picture of putting all of these pieces together. So you guys know, if you've watched my previous videos, that I love thinking of our businesses as a painting or as a puzzle. And in this analogy here, you can think of bookkeeping as the actual puzzle pieces, while accounting is the process of putting those puzzle pieces together. So with all of that being said, let's quickly cover a few basic bookkeeping terms that you need to know. We'll start here with one of my favorite terms, which is revenue. Revenue is simply the income coming into your business. So all of those payments that you're getting from your pet sitting and dog walking clients and any other payments that you may be getting, those are your revenue. And that leads me to one of my least favorite bookkeeping terms, which is expenses. That is simply all of the money flowing out of your business. And that can be anything from your marketing expenses, your liability insurance, your phone bill, your time to pet subscription, The list goes on and on and on, and it's going to vary from business to business. But your expenses are all of the money flowing out. And that leads me to everyone's favorite bookkeeping term, which is profit. Your profit is simply your revenue minus your expenses. That money left over after all of the money that comes into your business, after subtracting the money that goes out of your business, that is your profit. Now, there are a lot of different financial statements that you can make for your business, but the main one that I'm going to show you in this video is your profit and loss statement, because I think that's really where everyone should begin, and I think that's one of the most important financial statements that we need as pet sitters and dog walkers and dog trainers. So your profit and loss statement is simply a spreadsheet or a document that tracks all of the revenue coming in, the expenses going out, and then it shows you your net profit or loss at the bottom. Very simple. I'll show you how to make this in just a second. The last bookkeeping term that I want to cover here is reconciliation. And when you reconcile your books, that means that you are comparing what you've put on this spreadsheet, this profit and loss statement, with your actual bank statements. You are going through, your manual bookkeeping with your bank statements line by line and just verifying that everything is accounted for and everything is correct. So let's talk about how you can actually do your own bookkeeping. I'm going to start very simply here with just a free Google Sheets. If you have a Gmail account, you already have access to Google Sheets. So go ahead and pull that up. And what you're going to want to do is make 5 columns across the top. Your first column is just going to be a description where you put what the revenue or expense was. So you put, payment from X client, or, gas in my car, whatever it is. And then next to that, you'll put the date. That'll be column number 2. And then column number 3 is going to be the amount. And then column number 4 is going to be the payment method. So did you pay for this expense with cash or with your credit card, or did the client pay you with Venmo or on Time to Pet? You'll make a record of how that transaction happened there under the 4th column. And then column number 5 is going to be the category for the income or the expense. And this is really important when it comes time to do your taxes, because the IRS on their Schedule C form does require your expenses to be put into one of the categories that they have listed for us. So I'll put a list of the IRS categories on the screen right now. And you may want to get a little bit more specific and use even more categories for your business, just depending on how you like to do your own bookkeeping process and how you operate. But these that I have on the screen right now are the ones that the IRS are going to look for when you file your taxes. So just for simplicity's sake, I would recommend sticking to those categories. Now, this spreadsheet that we just built here is obviously very simple, and this is something that you're going to want to build out for each month of the year. And at the bottom of that amounts column, you can just have it total it up, for all the income and expenses. That way you can see your net profit or loss there at the bottom for each individual month. As you're putting in your income on that amounts column, you'll do just put in the number as a positive, and then as you record your expenses, you'll put a negative sign with the amount, so it all tallies up correctly. And you may want the date column to be first before the description on your spreadsheet, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter, just as long as you have at least these 5 columns. I actually have a 6th column on mine where I can add extra notes that don't necessarily go in the description column. You know, we could get all into the weeds here. Just make it however works best for you. But this is what I would recommend here. So each one of these monthly spreadsheets will show every single transaction, you know, line by line, every single payment that came into and went out of your business here. And then you can compile all of this into your profit and loss statement. So that's where instead of, you know, each line item transaction, you just have, you know, your income as one big box, and then under that you can have all of your categories of your expenses, and then just down at the bottom you have your income minus your expenses to give you your net profit or loss. Now, if you're a little bit more tech savvy, you can actually set up your profit and loss tab to speak to those individual monthly sheets, so that when you're putting in your individual transactions on each monthly sheet, it'll automatically go on to that profit and loss statement for you. Now, if you're not as tech savvy, you can very easily just manually import those numbers. Now, going back to talking about reconciliation, you need to reconcile your books every month. You know, some people do it weekly. There are some people that do it quarterly, but I would say that at a minimum, you need to be doing this monthly. Because again, you need to really understand where all this money is coming from and where it's going to make knowledgeable decisions for your business. I mean, just thinking about marketing, for example, let's say that last month you tested some paid Google ads, and this month you're testing some paid Facebook ads, and next month you plan to test some local events and other types of marketing. If you're not tracking each individual expense and then relating that back to the amount of client signups that you have each month, you're really not going to know what is performing the best or not. You're just going to be going off of a gut feeling, and we cannot operate our businesses successfully based off of gut feelings. As much as we would all like to, and as important as gut decisions are some of the time, this is not the time to depend on your gut. You know, you need the knowledge, the facts, and the data to be making decisions. You can see here why it's so important to make sure that you have a business bank account and a business credit card where none of your business income or business expenses are intertwined with your personal income and expenses. And I know this is a question I get a lot from newer solo pet sitters. They ask, you know, when should I set up a business bank account? And I'm going to tell you that you should do that before you ever take on your first client, or before you ever, you know, have your first expense transaction. That way you can just keep everything very separated and very organized. So if you sit down and have to go through a bank statement that is just all of your personal expenses intertwined with all of your business income and expenses, it's going to take you a lot more time and just make this whole process so much more complicated. So now that you understand some basic bookkeeping terms and how to get started very easily manually doing this with a Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet, let's talk about how you can level up this bookkeeping process. So I highly recommend going with QuickBooks, because with QuickBooks, you can actually connect that business bank account and your business credit cards directly to the QuickBooks platform. That way, every time you have a payment come in, or every time you swipe your card to buy something for your business, it automatically pops up in QuickBooks, and then you can just quickly drag that expense or that income into the right category bucket, and then they will, make this profit and loss statement and all of these other financial statements for you. Makes everything just so much faster and easier, especially when it comes to that reconciliation process. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I didn't do any bookkeeping at all for the first few months of my business. And then I realized how important all of this was. And I built myself a spreadsheet and did it all manually for a few years before I learned about QuickBooks and transitioned over to that platform. And then I did all of my bookkeeping on QuickBooks for a few years before I then finally took the next step of just outsourcing all of this completely to a trained professional. And this is something that I honestly just hired a bookkeeper within the last couple of years. And it's been one of the most game-changing hires I've ever made for my business. It's something that I kick myself for not outsourcing all of this sooner. Because even with my business degree and the accounting classes that I took, I was still missing things, and it was still taking me just a lot of time to do all of this. And now I just don't have to worry about it. I know that it's being done correctly. I know that nothing is falling through the cracks. So I will put some links in the description of a couple different bookkeepers that specifically work with pet businesses. My friend Anne-Marie owns Tiny Paws Bookkeeping. She is phenomenal. She's been in business for a few years and works with businesses of all different sizes. My friend Maria owns Yellow Dog Bookkeeping. She's owned her own pet sitting and dog walking business for almost 20 years and has recently started her own bookkeeping service. And I'll also link my own bookkeeper, Shannon Thomason, down below. At the time of recording this video, I don't think she is actually accepting new clients right now, but if you're watching this video in the future, maybe she is, and you can reach out to her. But I'll put all of those links down in the description below. Those are 3 people that I have met personally. If you contact any of them, please tell them that Doug the Dog Guy sent you. That would mean a lot to me. I really hope that this video has helped simplify the bookkeeping process for you. Like I said, I know how overwhelming this can be for us pet people. I know that this isn't why a lot of us got into business, but it is crucial to our long-term success. It's just important for any business in any industry to truly understand the financial health of your business. So please don't let this overwhelm you. If you would like some one-on-one help with this, with setting up your spreadsheet and kind of just understanding this process a little bit better, I would first recommend that you read the book Profit First. I'll put a link to that down in the description below as well. And then reach out to me for a private coaching call. I do offer one-on-one coaching via Zoom, so I'll put the link to that down in the description below. We can totally get on a call and kind of dig deeper into the weeds here about all of this. And I do plan on making some videos here in the future, breaking this apart a little bit more and showing you how you can actually start doing a little bit more math here to figure out your actual expense load per service and your profit margin per service. Because again, I really think that is important for us as pet sitters and dog walkers and dog trainers. So make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on those future videos. I do post videos here every Wednesday. And go give me a like and a follow on Instagram and Facebook as well. I'll put all the links down in the description below. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for joining me for this very exciting topic of bookkeeping. And with that, I'm Doug the Dog Guy, reminding you to stay positive.